Welcome, listeners, bookworms. It's been a while. In fact, it's been so long, I forgot that we decided that the word worm was actually worm. And wait, is it? What did we decide on that, Griff?
It's been so long, I honestly don't remember either. I don't even remember having that discussion. We'll have to go back and check.
We will. Well, welcome back to season 4.5 of the Silverlight Guide to the Cosmere. We're joined today by a guest that's been waiting in the legs for, wait, no, is waiting on the
Waiting
side?
in
Wings. That's it.
the
Wings,
wings,
not
yes.
legs. I've got chicken on the mind. Waiting in the wings for a year and a half. Wait. Yeah. Yep. We met him at Nexus 2023, and here he is on our show. Tyler Tarter, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here and going to be a lot of fun to talk about some really fun stuff for sure.
I agree. So the first thing we're going to talk about is you. Uh, and I'll preface it by saying all of these things that we're about to talk about, can be found in the description. So your Square site, tartary-press.square.site, where you'll be able to find all of your books because you are an author. Your podcast will also be in the description. That is Readers That Wargame, which I know you have some episodes on the Cosmere, so there is some high overlap. In fact, I think what I'm hoping is that Cosmere in Miniature is going to comment saying, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that that channel existed," uh, and then he's going to go watch all of your Cosmere related videos because he's great. He war games. He paints Cosmere miniatures. Right up that alley. What else do you talk about on your podcast?
Um, Originally, there's a lot more book stuff, but wargaming seems to be what everybody wants to talk about on my channel. So that's a lot of what we talk about. There
It's
are still a lot of books and stuff like that, but it's a lot of Warhammer 40K lately.
Space Marines, man. Space Marines. Uh,
Always more of a Tau fan myself, but
get out of here. No. I have no allegiance. I actually know so little about Warhammer 40K that I didn't know that you were supposed to put the K at the end, so I kept spelling out 40,000. No, that was a bad joke. All right, so you're gonna we're gonna briefly talk about your written works. You have short stories.
I
Um,
do.
Two of them that really caught my eye were Blades for Hire and Caught in Flames. Now,
Mhm.
tell us, you have novels as well. So with that in mind, tell us which what kind of series do you have? Are they all in their own little thing? Is there a grand connection between everything? What's going on here?
So I have a fantasy trilogy, which is where I started. It came out in 2020.
I'm gonna pause you right
I'm
there
like,
because the sound made you sound like a Vocaloid. Um, and it was
Yeah.
okay,
very
I'm glad that
entertaining.
wasn't just me. I was about to speak up as well.
Yeah, it was very entertaining, but also very difficult to understand what you were saying. Um,
You're good. I heard it too on my end.
okay, cool.
Okay, now I can hear you just fine, so I don't know what
Yeah,
was going on there, but
aliens. So start again from right, yeah, just start again with the fantasy trilogy.
Sure. So I have a fantasy trilogy that's fully out. The first book came out in 2020. I have a sci-fi series that's two books in so far, with the third book coming next year. I've got a bunch of short stories. My sci-fi series is in a world that is expanding with a a new series in that same universe coming soon. So it is an expansive universe. I do enjoy those as well. But yeah, so I write all over the place. I've got one of the short stories that came out in 2023, end of 2023, was actually a horror story. So I bounce around a lot in my genres, but it's a lot of fun.
That's very exciting. So you bounce around, so obviously you enjoy writing the various genres. What do you think is your favorite to write?
Sci-fi.
Yeah.
I love fantasy. The world building is fun, but it is a lot of work. It takes me 2+ years to get a first novel out if I'm writing fantasy. Sci-fi, because you're basing it on current reality and then just moving it forward most of the case, it takes 6 to 8 months to write a novel. So it's a lot
Okay.
more fun, a lot less pressure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think that's why I like imagining things and writing things in urban fantasy because you're basically
Mhm.
just dealing with the modern world. So
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually working on an urban fantasy too. So that's gonna be a fun
Whoa.
one.
Nice. And if you were to pitch your fantasy series, what do you think the readers could connect it to?
Sure. The elevator pitches, it's a group of heirs that have to rediscover magic in order to stop an invasion by an army of evil mages. So it runs somewhat parallel to Stormlight Archives, about halfway between Stormlight Archives and Lord of the Rings. So a little bit softer magic, but not soft magic.
Okay, cool. And what about your sci-fi?
Sci-fi is a group of cadets that go out on a training mission and get caught in the first battle of a major war and have to fight their way out. So Star Trek-esque.
Very cool.
It's a little bit grittier than most Star Trek, but it's in that vein.
I think everybody can appreciate more grit than a lot of Star Trek has. And
Yeah,
then I think you also have an announcement for us.
definitely. I definitely do. Yeah. So, like I kind of already mentioned, in my sci-fi universe, there's another series that's coming. The first book is going to be called Stuck Over Heaven. It's about a veteran who goes to hunt down the people who murdered his family in the overslums. So slums orbiting the planet. And it's coming out on September 16th. So
Ooh,
little ways out still, but it's a lot of fun. And it's actually in beta reader stage right now.
very
So
cool. Very cool. 916, that's two squares.
it
Um,
is.
so very, very impressed that you chose that date. Tickles my brain for reasons nobody knows. That's very exciting. And then we'll move on to the Sanderson news. Sanderson news. Now, the first thing I'm going to start with on here is actually not on the outline because it happened after I made the outline and I forgot to tell you about it before we started the episode. But Brotherwise Games just sent out an email to the backers of the Stormlight RPG. Everybody knows in America that tariffs are, say it with me, terrible. And the
yes.
reason why is because they are potentially going to have to hold the physical deliverables for the Stormlight TTRPG in China until the tariffs come back down. There is no
Uh,
feasible way to ship
yeah.
just for the United States.
No,
Uh,
no, no. Yep, yep.
uh, and for those people who think tariffs are the right idea, totally your call. We'll find out eventually. I'm not trying to shame anybody for their political beliefs, but in this moment, that email was disheartening. They are still going to ship the digital rewards. And for anybody who's not in the US, they are still going to ship the physical rewards. So people are still going to get things. It would just cost them millions of dollars to ship the stuff from China to US. And they are past the point of no return on making those deliverables. So ultimately, if the tariffs don't come back down, they'll hold them in China until they do. Or, well, they said they would reassess. Maybe there's a different way they could get them over here. But I am not proficient in economics beyond supply and demand. And my demand for the supply is very high, and I am very sad. Uh, but I'm not too bummed out because everything's going to work out probably. Yeah,
Eventually.
eventually. So we will still be running the RPG on our channel. At some point, we will be doing what do they call them? Real plays? Actual plays? Actual plays.
And that's the thing. Yeah, there's been a lot of terms bandied about live plays, actual plays, real plays. I don't know if anyone has actually settled on a standard term.
Shakespeare plays.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I'll go with that.
Uh, alas, it'll work out. Okay, next up, Isles of the Emberdark. Pre-order is open now. If you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, you've probably seen Sanderson's weekly news. If you haven't, you can go look at how to pre-order it there. Along with that, they'll also tell you if you were at Nexus 2024 or if you bought the boxes or card packs for the was it the Lost Stories? I put that down, but I don't remember. It's Lost
Yeah, I
Stories,
believe it was
right?
Lost Stories. Yeah.
They figured out what went wrong with the printing that made the story cards more rare, the like 48 through 54 more rare than the rest of the cards. They figured that out, and they've printed packs that they are selling for $1, where you can get the final cards for all three sets for a single dollar
Ah, okay.
because they do not like people scalping the cards. Now they're not selling the heralds. They're not selling the foils or the rare cards because those are intended to be rewards for trading. So you're not going
Right.
to be able to get a pack of all the heralds, but you will be able to
You
get,
can at least get the final bits of the story.
yes, you'll get the whole story. And so you can go look at the Sanderson news. They'll probably be on Nexus's, not Nexus, Sanderson's website, dragonsteel.com. And now for the fun part, something we've never done before. I'm going to do an ad read. I'm going to ask for 5 seconds of silence, and then I'm going to talk for a while, and I'm just going to blow through their talking points. And then at the end, if anybody feels very strongly about what they want to add something, feel free. But I want to get it. It has to be at least 15 seconds. So I am going to talk for about 15 to 30 seconds. Everybody good?
Yep.
Great. Oh, Tyler's already muted. Perfect. And now we have an ad. Yes, that's right. We have an ad. Oh wait, that wasn't 5 seconds of silence. I'm gonna go again. I got too excited. Okay, now I'm gonna go again. And now for an ad from our sponsor, Fish Audio Creative. That's right. We actually oh wait, no, it's just Fish Audio, not Creative. I swear I'm gonna be able to read this correctly once. And now for an ad from our sponsor, Fish Audio. Are you a podcaster, content creator, maybe a business or a developer? Well, I want you to pay attention because we are going to tell you about Fish Audio. When we were approached for this ad, I was like, Fish Audio, that sounds fishy. So I went to their website and I was a little scared. The reason why is because they created an AI generated voice thing. I'm going to repeat that line and edit it. I got a little scared because nope, and then okay. I got a little worried. And so I went to their website to check them out. And yeah, I should have been concerned because their AI generated voices were impeccable. If you are a podcaster, voiceover artist, or content creator looking for hyper realistic AI generated voices, you need to check out Fish Audio. They have samples of Donald Trump and Elon Musk that were endlessly entertaining to play around with. They are ranked among the top 2 most realistic voice generators in 13 languages. They also let you create high quality voiceovers with just a few clicks. It's open source friendly, super fast, including faster than 11 labs, and best of all, affordable with the lowest prices in the market. Whether you need multilingual voice cloning, real-time speech-to-speech conversion, or professional quality narration, Fish Audio has got you covered. Try it today for free at fish.audio and see why it's the best AI voice tool out there. Okay, I think that was it. I think we're good.
Awesome.
Great. Does anybody have anything burning in their heart that they feel like should be tacked on to the end of that?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. We're
I
on to
need to actually
more.
go and check out their stuff and see.
See what we're sponsoring,
Yeah, basically.
so that when we start getting shit in the comments, we can answer. No, I'm gonna take that out. I'm gonna take that out. No cursing. We're family friendly. Well, at least we have been sort of occasionally. I try to bleep us.
We're making an effort.
We're making an effort. You know what? Progress over perfection. Great. Wow. I am almost done talking. I'm not done talking. I haven't heard myself talk in a while. I'm actually going to switch these Mistborn Ghost Bloods. Everybody excited for that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, do we have a release date yet or a release window?
I believe it's still the same that he had on the State of the Sanderson for the end of 2024, which it'll be a couple of years because he's going to write all three together, and then release them one every other year with Elantris 2 and 3 in between those.
Okay, is there any actually this is a bit off topic, but I am curious. Has he made any further statements on White Sand prose version?
No.
Unfortunate. Okay.
Yep. It is. But here we are. They've also thank the Lord. Thank Adonalcium. Aldonacium.
Thank the shards.
Thank the shards. Thank Harmony. They have created a system that they are going to tell us about for how we're going to get tickets to Nexus 2025. It is not just going to be a free-for-all. If in May, when they open the thing, if there is more demand than they have tickets, they are going to go to a special system that they have not told us about. And they said it's the most fair way they can possibly do it. And so I'm expecting that it's going to be rounds of randomization, like we discussed like 9 months ago.
Yeah, where they'll have some sort of a lottery system.
Right. Lottery system, time to purchase. If you pass, it goes to somebody else. Something like that. That seems fair, right? But they might come up with something else. We'll see. If you are interested in being a vendor or exhibitor, that application is open. They'll be contacting people in May, I think. Ticket sales, actually, I think ticket sales open in June for Nexus attendees. They're going to tell us what the system is in May. And then for those who aren't in the know, the release this year is an anthology of Sanderson's non-Cosmere works, short stories, which is going to be anchored by the latest story he wrote, which is Moment Zero. And I think that's all the Sanderson news we have.
Yeah, because this upcoming Nexus is not going to be a Cosmere related.
No, but I expect everything else about it will be Cosmere related. So
Oh well, yeah, of course. I mean, that is
Isles of the Emberdark.
largest.
Expect it's probably going to be Isles of the Emberdark themed.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, but we can talk more about that later in this episode.
True.
So stay tuned. But now we're going to talk about Nexus 2024. Tyler, I've been talking almost nonstop for about 20 minutes, other than when you were talking and sometimes when Griff was talking. I want you to tell us how your experience at Nexus 2024 was.
Yeah, Nexus 2024 was really cool for me. It was my first time there as a panelist and a vendor. So it was different. I didn't actually expect to be invited in the first place. I just kind of threw my name in the hat and hoped. So when I did get invited, it was really, really cool. And it was a really different experience from the years previous. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun when you walked up to the booth and I was like, this guy, I know this guy. This guy. And then you started talking to me. We didn't exchange names or anything. And I forgot how we got there, but then I was like, Tyler? And you were like, yep. It was very entertaining to me. So your panel was on AI, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we're also going to talk about that later in the episode because I did not go to that panel. If I remember correctly, it conflicted with my panel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we're going to talk about it later because I want to talk about it.
Sure.
And if you want to talk about Mistborn Era 3, we can do that in the future. And I'll probably have that episode. I recorded our panel. That will be up at some point this year. I make no promises. Okay. what was for both you, Tyler and Griff, what was your favorite thing about Nexus 2024?
Ooh, that is a good question. Um, it's for me, like I said, it was a really different experience for me. So and my highlight, I actually did a book signing there with the BYU bookstore. So it was weird to do a book signing in the middle of the vendor hall, but it was a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of new people. So that was definitely my highlight. Beyond that, there's a lot of really cool panels. Um, and I got to see a lot of friends that I don't get to see in the author world as well. So
Very
that
cool.
that was a lot of what I did.
Very cool. And Griff?
I honestly probably my favorite portion of it, even though our experience was a little rushed, was the Stormlight TTRPG.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the play that they had of that, that was a lot of
Uh,
fun, getting to see how the system worked, and I'm going to be interested to see how they translate that into um the other Cosmere planets and magic systems and everything.
yeah, and they're gonna have their own non-Cosmere related system, and they're just calling it Plot Weaver. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, you'll probably be able to take any kind of story or video game world or whatever world and attach the rules to it because I mean it's a D20 system, right, with the plot die that adds theatrical flair to it, which is what I find missing a lot of times from my TTRPGs. So uh, we're not sponsored by them, but
We could be.
we could be. And now we're going to go on to Tyler. What was your least favorite thing about Nexus 2024?
So for me, honestly, it was kind of the con game. I know we'll talk about this a little bit, but it it was a little weird is kind of in that vendor hall to watch people struggle with it and not be able to help them. So that was kind of the frustrating part for me
Oh,
is
okay.
watching.
Yeah, like they'd ask you questions about where to find them, and you didn't know. It's not like anybody told us not to tell anybody.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, no, we just didn't know.
we just didn't know, right?
Mhm.
I only knew a little bit more than other people because we signed up to sponsor it. So we had
Okay,
this at our
right.
booth, right? And then we could, direct people. But because our name was Silverlight, and there was a page in the passport that said "Talk to the people at Silverlight," people kept coming up to us asking. I was like, "No,
Hmm.
Silverlight Mercantile over there."
Yeah, we had the name first, but unfortunately they named the thing Silverlight Mercantile Guild, so we kept having to direct them to the big tent.
Yeah, which was luckily just down the aisle because
Yeah,
that's
luckily it was pretty much within view of our booth, but
yeah,
also it was a little odd that they didn't, at least I don't know if they gave the information out to anyone specifically, but I know that I found out rather late in the game that there were some stamp things down at the Radisson,
yeah,
Hmm.
which was not inform or at least I don't, maybe it was on in the pages. I didn't actually, I would need to go back and look. But yeah, that was a bit interesting.
yeah. There's a strange feeling that happened near the end of the convention where the con game was designed to not be easy, right? Some of it was fairly easy, like the vendor hall. You just had to fill up one of those page or the specific spots. Uh, but other ones you had to go and attend. But by the end of the game, but by the end of the con, the workers were giving out free stamps just so people could collect the things, right? And I'm of two minds about that. If it there was a reward that was limited, and that was the World Hopper pin, and they ran out, and they started giving away the Stormlight 5 pin as a replacement, which fine, cool. Um, but if there was a limited reward, there shouldn't have been as much ease getting the stamps as there was, in my opinion. It felt unbalanced in that way. At the same time, we did have a ton of people coming to the booth because of it, which definitely helped our sales. And someday we will eventually spend less than we made at the con. Uh, maybe this next year. Um,
I will say this. They, in my opinion, they probably should have gone with two different games. One that was easy, like the stamp thing, because while it was somewhat time intensive, it was not complicated. You go to a booth with the thing, you get the stamp, you move on, you find the next one. And that, if there's a giveaway for that, like the card packs, which are in plentiful supply, that's fine. If they are going to have a limited reward, they should probably make that a separate game that is much more challenging.
yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any input, Tyler?
Um, no, I think you guys hit it pretty well on the head. It was interesting to see there were some big successes with it. Like you said, the vendor hall was great. I actually didn't have a booth myself, but I was attached to the BYU library. I spent probably 65% of my time there. And we had one of the key stamps, which was nice because people would come over and would talk to me, and I was able to pitch my books and stuff like that while giving them a stamp. But by the end of it, there was a lot of almost frantic people where it kind of defeated the purpose, especially on that last day, just across
Yeah.
the board. So it was a mixed bag for me for sure.
Yeah. Griff, what was your least favorite thing about Nexus 2024?
It was probably two things, and it's two things that were somewhat unavoidable. The first was a little bit of difficulty on the administrative part when came to getting the passes for Lily and myself. They spent a lot of time looking in the wrong area for our pass when I very explicitly stated that they were looking for a vendor pass, not a standard pass.
Hmm.
But it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was a little it felt a little irritating to not feel like I was listened to when I tried to tell them you're looking for a vendor pass.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good to not be listened to.
Yeah. The second was just the crowds. I'm always going to find crowds exhausting. Like, it was fun, it was great. I enjoyed having the booth. I enjoyed being able to see everybody come around, buy the stickers, all that. There were upsides to it, but I will always find crowds like that draining. Just as being an introvert, as fun as I can find it, it will always be a little exhausting.
That makes sense. Yeah. Now, paneling. Tyler, what was your experience on the panel? How did you feel about it?
That panel was awesome. They did a really good job getting enough experts across the board, especially on such a fiery topic, that we were able to cover things really well. They also helped us coordinate and communicate ahead of time. I know that wasn't the case for a lot of the panels, but at least mine in particular, it was one of the smoothest panels I've been on in the last few
Nice.
years.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time intentionally connecting with the other panelists on my two. I was asked to moderate Writing Horror, and I was also given the opportunity to be on Mistborn Era 3 after I did some fancy theorizing in a Discord. Um, be proud of that forever. Hashtag pride. Wait, no, no. But yeah, no. So I went out of my way to make the outline, make sure that other people read it, make sure that they felt good about it, and that we met beforehand. Well, the Mistborn Era 3, we met beforehand online. And then for the Writing Horror, it was pretty straightforward. So, but coming away from it, people kept saying to me and to my fellow panelists, like, that was the best panel that we've gone to all con. Like, there must have been between 10 and 15 people that came up to me and the other panelists that we talked about afterwards. So that felt really good. And I told them to go fill out the form that said, like, if you really enjoyed it, make sure that they bring us back, right? Because for those who don't know, if you're a panelist, but you did not get a badge, you get a badge for free. So,
Mhm.
pretty sweet deal. That I might be trying to do this year. We'll see. Of course, things are liable to change, and might not get it, but why not, right? I think overall, Nexus 2024 was a positive experience. I look back and I'm a little sour that Sanderson stopped by all the vendor booths. And I say that because I had really wanted to play the Stormlight RPG and it was lining up right at that time. And it was not expected that he was going to come by all the vendor booths. And then he did. And so we sat there for like an hour and a half waiting for him to get through all the booths. And it was cool meeting him.
Mhm.
And then we rushed over to the Stormlight RPG and had like 45 minutes left. And like, my emotions were like, I promised friends that are sitting at the table in Stormlight an opportunity to play with me and a group of people that are all going to be fun to play with, and they're not getting to play. And um, that was a strange feeling, and I don't regret being sour about it, but uh, it it kind of highlights the uncertainty around conventions, maybe in general, maybe just Nexus. I haven't gone to a lot of conventions other than Nexus. So I guess what I'm saying is expect to not know what's going on all of the time when you go to
Yeah,
Nexus 2025 or
that sentiment in general is just kind of con wide as far as I've experienced, which I haven't experienced much other than Nexus, but I have been to Gen Con a couple of times and one Comic Con. And yeah, that just kind of seems to be the general vibe of not knowing what's going on all the time because
yeah,
I do wish that Sanderson hadn't chosen such a big event that a lot of booth holders may have gone to as his time to do the meet and greet.
yeah,
Because I don't think it was just us that were having to choose between getting to meet him and shake his hand and having to play the game.
right, right. Yeah, but now we
Yeah,
know that there's a potential for it this next time,
That's true.
and I expect with the success of the Stormlight RPG mass, what they call it, oh, an epic, which was a lot of fun. I expect that they'll come up with another one for this next Nexus. So
That'd
even
be neat.
it may not be completely Cosmere, there will definitely be Cosmere things. But
Oh yeah.
I want to move on to a brief debrief on Wind and Truth, followed by Isles of Emberdark, and then we'll talk about artificial intelligence for a while. And if we have time, we'll talk about the future of the Cosmere. So, Wind and Truth. Tyler, have you finished it?
I have. Yeah, I finished it pretty fast.
Okay. Scale of 1 to 10. How do you feel? Be honest.
I'll say a Stormlight 7. It's if we go general, it'd be higher, but in this Stormlight, it's not my favorite. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite.
And which one is your favorite? Just so the audience knows.
I bounce back and forth between Oathbringer and Way of Kings.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, solid, solid. Griff, what was your rating for Wind and Truth?
Probably an 8.5. I will say that it definitely suffers a bit by being the intermission before the true ending of the Stormlight series. It is definitely, I mean, like obviously it's the end of Era One, but the story itself of Roshar and the or not the Cosmere in general, but the Stormlight archives in general is not going to be done for another 5 books. So I think it does suffer somewhat from that. But I think for the ending that it was, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll agree with that sentiment. Um, I'm conflicted uh, on my rating of it because when I look back at my time reading it, which I read it very, very quickly, um, I finished it the Tuesday after the con. Um, and when I look back on it, I think, wow, what a whirlwind. And also, what in tarnation just happened?
Yeah.
Or what in damnation, I guess. And when Wind and Truth was getting a lot of hate from content creators and people online, my oppositional defiance decided that, okay, Wind and Truth was the ending that Sanderson wanted us to have for this, and therefore, regardless of what anyone else thinks, it's good. That's what he wanted, and he delivered. And at the same time, it lacked a certain depth that I don't know if I was expecting or if I think needed to be there for it to make sense
Okay,
with the rest of it.
I will cut in here
Go ahead.
briefly and say that I believe that honestly, Wind and Truth would have fared better as a an ending duology. He should have cut down on the page length, or he should have split it into two so that he could have included the things that I feel were cut, because I feel like things were cut.
Well, yeah, they were.
And I think, yeah, and we know they were. And I feel like we could tell, even if not consciously, even if you can't point to a space and say this doesn't, wasn't addressed the way it should have been or whatever. I believe that it was apparent that everything was not in there to the satisfaction or to the completion of the other Stormlight Archive books.
That's a fair way of putting it. Tyler, what do you think?
And to Griff's point, I actually agree. One of the big issues I had with it was pacing. You had some, in my opinion, some of it Sanderson's best writing in Adolin and Sigil's and Kaladin storylines. Then you had others that were either too short or too long. I think Shallan's either could have been shortened or extended to make it better, but it was kind of crammed in there. And it led to some very jerky pacing, especially towards the end. Don't want to get into spoilers, but that end third for me was where I struggled the most because you'd have high intensity and then you just almost come to a complete stop, on the pacing and have to reset. It from as an author, that one kind of frustrated me a lot.
Yeah.
I will, oh, sorry, go
Go
on.
ahead. No. You go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, I think it would have actually fared better if they had had one book that had been just the war against Odium, well, Terra of Odium, and the singers, and then a single book possibly would have been shorter, but still that was Kaladin and Zeth's journey.
Yeah. That could have been,
Because
yeah.
because while the endings were tied together to some extent, they were in truth separate stories. They didn't have a whole lot to do with each other.
Right. And where I was going to go with that is, and it's coming full circle, bringing it back to this is the intermission, is I am attempting to write stories. And this current story I'm working on, which is a sci-fi horror, is the most work I've put into a story. So I'm very excited about it. And I am currently figuring out what I want the end to be and tracing back through where characters need to be to make that ending what I want. And to Tyler's point, especially Shallan's bit, it feels shoved in there because it's the intermission, or it's right at intermission, and Ba Edo Mishram had to be released somehow. It's definitely not at the level of somehow Palpatine has returned.
Right.
We're still good, but it does lean towards that, I think, more than is comfortable.
Right. Well, and to kind of encompass that, I think the big issue is that he's almost writing two separate genres. in his writing style. Shallan's is as much a romance as it is an actual fantasy story. And it's got a lot of those romantic beats and plot points, which is pretty slow and builds slowly on purpose. That's how romances are meant to be built. Whereas the rest of the story is deep in a war saga, where it's high impact, high intensity, and you do have kind of a bridge in Kaladin storyline, which is the buddy cop feel, with its high points and still a little bit of calm. But I just don't think the bridge was there enough for it to really flow properly.
And that bridge is probably what's on the cutting room floor.
Probably.
Yeah, and as I said, that's why I feel like it would have been better as two books. Even
Yeah.
if you had set them as sold them as a dual set, I would have honestly. I mean, hindsight is 2020, but looking back, I probably would have been happier shelling out a bit more for 2 volumes and get the entire story than him trying to trim everything down to fit it into a single book.
So what you're saying is when they release the leatherbound in 2034, it's going to be the Sanderson cut.
I hope
Probably.
not, because I will be very upset. Because the leather bounds are expensive enough. Having to pay for a dual set just to get the whole story would be.
Okay, but they would
I feel a
probably
little salty about it.
they would probably release a digital version that you could get for like $10. Now, we're gonna go where were we? Does
We were
anybody
Wind and Truth. We were discussing the pacing
Yes.
issues.
Yes. Does anybody remember where exactly we were? Or does anybody feel strongly that they have something to say about Wind and Truth before we move on to Isles of Emberdark? Because I have a great segue topic.
I think I've said all that I need to say. Oh,
Tyler.
except for the fact that I hope that they release a version of the audiobook version of Sanderson Cut.
Ah, yes.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was in the middle of.
Okay. Okay. Tyler, anything?
No, I think we hit
Okay.
everything for me.
Here is something that I have been sitting on for 2 months, and it's something that I'm very excited to bring forward as a premise. Okay. And once I
Okay.
tell you, you're going to be like, Alex, the hype was not warranted. People complained about Wind and Truth, and Sanderson even said that this was the book that could make or break him. Right? Like that's not the premise. The premise I am going to make, the claim I'm going to make, is that Isles of the Emberdark, the first book after Wind and Truth to come out, is going to be the make or break point for Sanderson after Wind and Truth. Wind and Truth by itself, not as pivotal as consistency. And so Isles of the Emberdark is going to either completely lose the audience that he had that was flaky enough to be lost, or it's going to reinforce that we are here for the fantasy regardless of pacing issues or what was left on the cutting room floor or social justice issues that people had with Wind and Truth. That's my claim. Isles of the Emberdark is going to be more important than Wind and Truth is for Wind and Truth's success.
I don't disagree with you. And I think one of the reasons that Wind and Truth, I don't know if it was a strategic choice, but I think one of the reasons why Isles of Emberdark is coming right on the tail ends of Wind and Truth is because it is going to be the big introduction of dragons.
Good call.
Mhm.
Like, I know we had one interest, but it was a brief appearance.
Right. It was like kind of like Gandalf, like you don't know how he works if you don't
Right.
lore. He just works. Yeah. Not a great analogy.
But I think that Isles of Emberdark is going to be the deep dive into dragons. And so, as I said, I don't know if it was a strategic choice or just a happy coincidence, but I think that that might be a good reinforcement for those who maybe felt a little let down after Wind and Truth.
Good deal. Good deal. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
I completely agree. I think it also is going to be the first real look at the deeper Cosmere. Sun the Man was kind of our first entry point to it, but it's going to be the first time we're really seeing the full breadth of it. Even just in the preview chapters we have for it, we see what 5 different worlds represented in those just couple preview chapters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the make or break point is can he really tie it all together for the first time and make it work? Is it can be the make or
True. Yeah, no, I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's a good point. It is going to be our first look at a realized interconnected Cosmere. Yeah, no, you have a good point there, and I think that that will be honestly a pivotal thing, which is maybe he can set it up, but can he make it work when it comes to the full thing?
Mm-hmm.
That's a little scary to think about as somebody who likes creating content for the Cosmere. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going into it with personally is an expectation that it is going to be an inventive and fairly unique fantasy story that is probably going to be unlike a lot of other things in the Cosmere. Not completely unlike it because we've seen a lot of the same species before. We've seen the characters and I mean, we have had Sixth of the Dusk, the short story, novella, short story.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a short story novel. I don't really know what it was classified as, but we did have Six of the Dusk, which
Right.
did touch on the topics.
Which, I mean, Sixth of the Dusk by itself is in my head award-winning for its writing, regardless of whether it
Yes.
actually won awards. So at least those chapters will be excellent. But I'm not going into it with any kind of expectation of literary greatness beyond. I think he can probably put it together pretty well. That's the only thing I'm going to be looking out for. Not that I have an expectation of perfect execution for putting all the worlds together, but that some reasonable level of execution is there, and I bet it's going to happen because it's Sanderson, and he's been working on it for a really, really long time, right?
Yeah, I think he picked a really good world for it too to really bring in that sci fantasy feel to it. So I think it's not going to be a hard transition. I think it's going to be pretty smooth. I don't see this one struggling too much, at least from what we've read so far and what he's already got set up.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what elements of like science fantasy get added in because we've already seen hints of it here and there with both, well, with the two, with well, I guess almost three of the secret project or all three of the secret projects and the Six of the Desk and the little preview bits for Isles of Emberdark. But it'll be interesting to see how far he takes it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Because like we already saw whoever was in the armor, which I'm going to guess was I'm not sure if it was an Elf's color or if it was a Skybreaker, but regardless, Skybreaker from the adherence to law that he hints at. But anyway, we did see some sort of an energy gun
Mm-hmm.
being formed from a spren, so
Hellsbreaker.
Honest, honestly, the Stormlight power armor was kind of my favorite part of those preview chapters. Uh, we talked about already. I'm a big Warhammer fan, so I saw that and like, woohoo, that's right up my alley. So
yeah,
I
that
think
makes
that's
sense.
why I have a little bit more hope for it. Is usually that type of story is not a hard one to write. I think it'll be a good.
That gives me hope for the story I'm writing because one of the initial ideas I had for it was power armor made out of alien insects.
Nice.
Right? And so that just stuck with me, and I was like, that sounds really freaking cool. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that encouragement that you didn't know that you were going to give me. I
Oh,
It'll
appreciate
be
you're
it.
good.
interesting to see. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say I'm in that category too. The new book that's coming out has nanite superpowers, so
Let's go. Yes.
yeah,
Nice,
I
nice.
love that sci fantasy not really sure where that line is type genre. That's definitely right up my alley.
I'm very much the same. Like I love Metroid, where I
Mhm.
tend to shy away. I mean, it's not like I dislike it or anything, but I do tend to shy away a little bit from stories that lean a little bit harder, like actual science fiction, rather than a little bit looser on the science aspect of it. So,
Yeah, there's a hardness scale for sci-fi. If
yeah,
you're yeah, which is fascinating to look at and think about, and how it applies to your own story.
yeah, that's
It
But
fair.
is.
that is neither here nor there, except for we're going to move on to artificial intelligence, and that is something.
Before we break into there, I
Yes.
do want to ask both of you a question.
It,
Do
Mhm.
either of you think the Unoathed are going to make an appearance in Isles of Emberdark?
I mean, I believe in our video that we did with the sandbox link in the doobly doo, uh, I claimed, or I made the claim that the Skybreaker could be an unoathed. Well, not the Skybreaker. The Night Radiant in Six of the Dusk could be unoathed, uh, and I argued for it. So I would say I'd love to see unoathed in Isles of the Emberdark. I think there is less than 50% chance that we see unoathed in the Isles of Emberdark. I think it's not
Yeah,
likely. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I'd agree. Given what happened to Win in Truth, I don't think so. Unless we had somebody stuck on the Shadesmore side of it, I just don't think it's going to happen. And because it's a small group, it just doesn't make sense to me for it to actually happen. Well, it also depends on when this actually happens in the timeline.
Right. And we know Six of the Dusk, when it came out, he said it was the furthest thing in the Cosmere timeline, and
Mhm.
that Six of the Dusk, the character, had eaten Predasian chowder. So
That's fair. That's fair.
there is connection there. There is possibility. It's non-zero chance here. And I personally would be ecstatic if the Unoathed show up in any form or fashion, even if it is not called Unoathed and it is simply an admittance by a Knight Radiant in the story that they are not, um, they don't have a Nile bond. They have a different kind of bond happening. I would consider that as admittance of unoathedness. I don't know if that would count, but that would lead to so many theories, tickle so many brain spots. I'm here for it. That's what I'm saying. I
Fair.
still think it's unlikely, but I want it so much. Okay, let's move on to artificial intelligence. Now, Tyler, you were on a panel for this. Tell us
Mhm.
what your expertise is in life that they pulled you in to talk about artificial intelligence.
Sure. So my day job, I'm in cybersecurity with a
Let's
specialty in
go.
artificial
Sorry.
intelligence. So you're good.
Sorry,
You're
I
good. I don't.
completely steamrolled the specialty. What was your specialty in?
Artificial intelligence and threat hunting.
Hell yeah. Uh,
So
are you blue team or red team?
blue team.
Blue team? Very nice. So is my wife. I'm not going to say where she works or what she does, but that's her
Sure.
field. She's also blue team. Um,
Nice.
yeah, no, she blows my mind. She has grown so much in that field. She had a
Mhm.
degree in music and then she got a master's in cybersecurity and worked her
Nice.
butt off to get some technical stuff done and then got hired. But again, I'm not going to say. And now she just says things that are so far over my head that I'm like, I'm going to go back to writing my science fiction now. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, no, it's crazy. Super cool.
For
Super
those
cool.
of us who are uneducated, what is blue team and red team?
Go for it.
Yeah, in the cybersecurity industry, there's two parts of the cybersecurity industry. You have honestly what I kind of refer to as the cops, and then you have the robbers that work for the cops, and that's the red team. Their job is
Ah,
to break
okay.
stuff. So
Gotcha.
blue
Gotcha.
team, yeah. Yeah, I'm the beat cop with all the fancy equipment because I do the threat hunting, but I use a lot of AI tools and things like that to actually make it happen.
That's very cool. I was about to launch into a tangent about a cybersecurity board game idea that my wife and I were developing. But that's neither here nor there. But I got very into the design of it. If you've ever played
Mhm.
Daybreak, I think, yeah, Daybreak. It's a
Okay.
relatively new game. It is cooperative. You play as different continents or different groups of continents, and you're trying to
Yeah.
stop the temperature from rising on Earth. I think that model could work very well for a cybersecurity card game or board game.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to go any further than that because trademark. Okay.
Yeah. No, that
So,
can be a lot of fun.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it would be. It really would be. Maybe I'll bring it to Nexus. Probably not. Okay. Artificial intelligence. So, you've proven hopefully you've proven to all of our listeners that you are a reliable witness when it comes to artificial intelligence. I am now going to take my turn on why I am also a reliable witness when it comes to artificial intelligence. I have a master's degree in bioinformatics. Part of that was I'm going to say AI, but it was really the math behind large language models and other
Okay.
types of weighty things. For those in the know, uh, I did not excel at it, but I did comprehend it. And
Mhm.
since then, I have had in my LinkedIn feed almost nothing except discussion on artificial intelligence. So
Mhm.
my knowledge is not deep, but it potentially may be broad. Now, artificial intelligence. The first thing I'm going to say is I don't think it's going to end up killing us, but I want your take on that, Tyler.
No, I completely agree. Artificial intelligence is both very skilled at certain things, but very limited at others. So it's not as big a threat as a lot of people like to make it out to be. It's honestly something that I found entertaining. I've been in the industry for a little over 10 years now, and I've watched it hit different um, subsectors of manufacturing and production and things like that. And every single time it kind of goes through the same phases where you end up with the three types of people that I always see. You have the AI as heresy people, you have the robber barons, and you have the people who actually find a way to competently use it and make everyone's lives better. And we just always see it, and everything always happens where the AI heresy people either leave the job or they end up getting converted. The robber barons always get caught and they get thrown out on their tail and they look like idiots. And the people who actually take the time to sit down and learn it and succeed with it end up being the ones who profit the most in the end. So it's hitting the creative world now, but I don't think it's going to be an actual threat long term.
Yeah, the only threat right now, immediate threat, is intellectual property theft, um, which you could argue yeah or nay on.
Okay.
Um, for people who do ghostwriting, blog writing, and make a major source of their income that way,
Mhm.
AI has completely taken over and changed that landscape, not necessarily for the better.
Agreed. Definitely.
Yeah. Um, I personally like to use AI for non-important tasks or for tasks where I know that I'm going to go back over what the large language model just spit out. But I, very up until very recently, was pretty AI is heresy, mainly due to what I feel like is an inappropriate use of internet information to train,
Mhm.
without giving proper or without doing proper deals or saying, this is all coming from open source or so on and so forth. Um, that sticks out like a sore thumb to me, even when I
Mhm.
use ChatGPT for very mundane things. I think this was not achieved through what I would consider moral means. most likely, right? Like I don't have the data right in front of me, but the proof is in the pudding, right? Like if you ask for certain things that it shouldn't know and it knows them,
Right.
it was trained on it. So um, I am going to attempt to now stop myself from talking as much. Griff, how are you feeling about AI as of this recording, April 23rd, 2025? Am I going to eat my last words of AI is not going to kill us?
Well, I don't think AI is going to kill us. As a lay person who may not be trained in any particular or learned in any particular field of AI, I don't think it's going to kill us. I will say I think the largest threat around AI is probably the unscrupulous use of AI in artistic endeavors, especially in something like if we take the Marvel Universe, where formula is the name of the game. If we look at most of the Marvel movies, they tend to be very formulaic. They tend to hit a lot of the same beats, no matter what genre or no matter what hero you're following. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, and whether or not that was intended or not, when you have something formulaic like that, it does make it very easy to take something like, I mean, not ChatGPT specifically, but a program similar to that, and potentially replace some of the creative work with something that doesn't require a paycheck.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that makes sense.
And, whether or not, I mean, and the one thing I will say about AI, and I think we're fast approaching a peak in this, and this isn't just on the artistic front, I think this is on a lot of it, is that we are going to soon find that AI is being able to be used in such a fashion that a lot of what people might term unskilled labor, quote unquote, is able to be done by something similar to an AI model. Like if you're ordering food, how hard would it really be to train a model to, you know, take that order even verbally at a drive-through and spit it out to the people in the restaurant rather than having someone actually standing there taking your order physically.
More work than you'd think, given the videos that they've put out where they've tested it.
Fair.
But you're right, like especially in the near future when the models get more specific and
Right.
are, uh,
And so I think what we're going to find is something that has kind of been creeping up on a sort of capitalistic slash mercantile economic system to begin with, which is at what point do we hit where there are more people than we have jobs that need filled?
right. And interesting point, I actually made an argument, not wholeheartedly, but I still made the argument. A lot of people are worried about civilization crashing because of birth rates. Um, Now, between now and pockets of humans that never talk to each other because nobody knows how to use electricity anymore, there's gonna be there's gonna be there could be a decline, right? Up until that point, where we have an aging workforce or the bulk of people are retired in the US, I guess, and other countries are having population declines as well. There is an opportunity that, not an opportunity, there is a real possibility that there is an intersection of AI being useful for mundane tasks, not mundane, but unskilled labor, quote unquote, uh,
Right.
and right, and that population decline, so that the productivity does not decrease at the same rate as the population does, because we have unscrupulously trained these models and everybody just gave them a pass. Like, okay, yeah, that wasn't great, but what are you going to do? And then with, okay, 20 years down the line, okay, well, yeah, they can take your order flawlessly or near flawlessly. And that, yeah. So productivity which I guess is what capitalism needs, so that we don't lose sight of what's important. Productivity does not increase. Uh, it's not something I want to happen, but very real possibility, right?
And so, and my worry, and this is kind of this kind of goes beyond the bounds of AI, but like as I said, what happens when we have more people than there are jobs that need filled, especially on an unskilled front?
We call it job games, and it's a cross between The Office and Hunger Games.
But
So,
it. Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to
oh,
interrupt, Tyler.
you're good. You're good. I was gonna say we actually have historical data on this. AI and robotics has been used in several branches of manufacturing since the 90s. It's been
Right.
found that we don't actually lose jobs; we shift jobs. So that unskilled worker isn't going to be manually screwing anything in. They're going to be doing a QA job instead, or they'll be doing a part and counter check to allow for increased production without having to increase the workforce, but not having to decrease the workforce either. So a lot of companies that have succeeded through all of this find the way to prioritize where their manpower is best used and then offshooting the menial tasks to AI or robotics to allow the employees to do their important jobs better. And we've seen that a lot. Automotive manufacturing went through a huge spike of that. It was the late 90s, early 2000s when especially like Ford and GM were trying to turn their assembly lines into robotic systems. They ended up having to bring back all the people they fired within about 3 years. So it'll be a process. That's kind of why I talked about the robber baron side. Is a lot of these companies will initially lay off a lot of people and then realize that they just left a huge skill gap and a skill hole that AI cannot fill because AI is not creative, it's not artistic, and it's not a out of the box problem solver in most cases. It's very good at solving linear problems. It's not very good at solving the weird side tangent problems, which is
True.
why AI and a person, when they're paired together, are extremely successful, but one or the other is less successful.
However, I will say, while I agree with you on a macro sense, on a micro sense, how many people are going to lose their houses or jobs in the 3 years it takes these companies to realize that they need those people back?
Right. No, it's not a great thing. And it's kind of why I talked about the three categories. You do have the Robert Barons. Honestly, right now, Meta is turning into the biggest one. I don't know if you guys have heard
Yep.
all of the biggest scandal with them and authors like me. I actually got hit with that too. Um,
Yes, I heard some of this. I am not deep in the subject, but I have
Actually,
seen a couple of videos on it.
yeah, Tyler, will you tell
yeah,
us what's going on with that?
yeah. So Meta decided to train their algorithms using a known source of pirated books. And they pirated, I think the last number I heard was over 7,000 books, including most of Sanderson's novels, my novels, Stephen King, and hundreds of other authors. Right now, there's currently, I believe, legal proceedings are in the process, but they knowingly used it to train their AI, fully aware that it was illegal. And they have memos and memorandums that were leaked that where they flat out state, we know this is illegal, but we believe that the cost of the legal fight will be cheaper than just paying people outright. So for me, that's the perfect example of the current robber baron of AI.
I hate that on a level so fundamental to my being, that if my skin did not keep water in so well, my blood would be vaporized from being boiled. That is
Yeah, it,
atrocious.
and
Wow.
I think there is a class action lawsuit coming up
Yes.
because I know that a YouTuber that I follow on, or an author that I follow on YouTube called Elizabeth Wheatley, a
Mhm.
couple of her books were part of that whole thing. So,
Wow.
Yeah, that one's going to be messy. I would not be surprised to see multiple class action lawsuits as well as hopefully some push on the political side as well, because it's going to be pricey and it's going to be painful.
I'd also like to see, but I am not condoning physical violence and or vandalism. Again, not condoning it,
Hmm.
but I am saying it would be understandable.
By the way, do you know why so many billionaires are trying to go to space?
Why?
Because guillotines require gravity.
That's good. That's good. We don't condone violence on our channel, but we do appreciate excellent jokes. So, uh,
Mhm.
that's wow. That's brilliant. That's good. That's very good. Okay. Tyler, do you use AI in your writing? And if so, how?
In the broader writing process, yes. The actual writing of text, no. I believe that the actual writing of the novel should be genuine for me. So that's what you get in my books. Although I do there's AI editor tools that you can use that are really great. I still have a professional editor. AI gets some stuff, but it doesn't get everything. My editor is fantastic. She does far more than AI ever will be able to, I suspect, because she can do a lot more of that emotional side and story and plot arc stuff like that. I also use it a lot for like social media management. There's a lot of AI editing tools that do a really good job clipping up stuff and turning them into social media posts. And I kind of try and follow that same philosophy that I was talking about earlier, where if I can eliminate the things that keep me from actually writing, that's a win. The more I
Mhm.
can write, the more productive I can be and the more successful I can be as an author. So if I can take out social media, take it down from an entire Saturday to 2 hours in the morning, that's the win. So,
Yep. And that's why I don't have an issue with AI as a concept. Like even I've
mhm,
used it sometimes because I run TTRPGs, and if there's a
mhm,
piece of artwork that I need that doesn't exist, I can shoot in a little prompt. And I think using it on a personal side like that, where you're not making
mhm,
any money off of it or whatever, I have zero issue with that. I think that that is great. I think that it can do a lot to help somebody, as I said, run a game, get a piece of artwork that they need for something. And I don't even have an issue, I don't have a blanket issue with it on a money making side of things. I just think that
mhm,
unfortunately right now the laws and regulations and things have not yet caught up to where AI currently is, and it will unfortunately take the wheels of bureaucracy a long time to get there, just because bureaucracy is bureaucracy.
mhm,
It do be how it do. Yeah, I tend to use AI to summarize things for me. Um, especially and it feels weird, right? Like I could Google search for the different types of endings a book could have.
mhm,
And this is something I did Monday. So this is a very fresh example. And
mhm,
I found 7 or 8 sites that gave specific numbers, the 6 endings of novels, the 13 different types of endings your novel could have, the 8 types
mhm,
of endings. And then I went to ChatGPT and I said, list the types of endings a novel could have. And it was more concise
mhm,
and exhaustive than any one of those other ones I went to would have been.
mhm.
But then I'm denying ad revenue to the websites that were probably scraped to train ChatGPT, and I feel icky inside. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Um,
I will say the one net negative I think almost everybody can agree on is the fact that Google using AI answers has been a net loss for trying to search for things because I will try to search for books based on a description where I don't know the title of the author, and it'll be like a book containing this could be like, and I'm like, no, I'm not looking for examples of how that book might be. I'm looking for the book that contains all these things in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
work. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know how the best search engine in the industry failed to build a tool for simple research, an AI tool for simple research. It's kind of ironic, especially since one of the best things AI does is research. That's one of its greatest functions, at least in my world. Sticking AI to go troll logs and tell me exactly where the anomalies are saves me hundreds of hours a day in cybersecurity. So it's fascinated me that they failed that bad with that tool. But using ChatGPT as a research tool, I actually did it just 2 months ago. A short story I got invited to do is Eldritch Horror. It's my first time writing Eldritch Horror, so I had to figure out the plot structure and the key focuses and stuff like that. So going to ChatGPT and asking for that, I like to ask for some reference sites as well, so that I can go and actually give them some ad revenue and do deeper dives afterwards. But it is nice to have that just brief. Here's the when Eldritch Horror, there's an exact 5-step process you're supposed to follow for an Eldritch Horror story to be traditionally Eldritch Horror. So getting that broken down in an easy summary saved me dozens of hours of research.
Yeah. And there you have it. And for you students listening to this potentially, uh, try to learn how to think critically when using AI and don't just use it to get the answers. You should learn how to use it to work alongside, not to replace your brain.
Mhm.
And that's anybody, but as somebody who works in secondary education and hears professors complain ad nauseum, they can tell. They can tell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Oh
think
yeah.
that they can't
Especially
tell?
with
Yeah.
no, especially with AI the way it is now. It it's getting better, but it is definitely not flawless. And if everybody is using the same AI tool to get their answers, it's all going to sound the same.
Yep. Yeah. Knowledge recall, not so important this day and age. Critical thinking, incredibly important this day and age.
Hmm.
That's the
Hmm.
bare bones of it. The knowledge recall went out the window when we had access to infinity in our pockets, and critical thinking will never go away. The day it goes away is the day that we have little pockets of humans that cannot communicate to each other because
Yep.
we lost the ability to think. So, no, that's probably not that's not what's going to happen. But uh, we're going to talk about the future now. We're going to talk about the future of the Cosmere because I think we hit on the future of AI pretty well. Does anybody have any last thoughts on AI before we move on?
Done here.
No,
Cool.
no, I think I covered my points pretty saliently.
Very cool. Um, oh, actually, I did see an interesting slash funny LinkedIn post earlier today about AI that I wanted to share. Um, hold on, my amphetamines wore off. We actually, by the time this airs, our episode Griff with Cosmere Connections will have aired. It's the
Oh,
launch
nice.
chapters 5 through 9. So go listen to that. They were very fun to hang out with. But
Yes.
the LinkedIn post I saw earlier today was somebody they managed to engineer, I think it was Perplexity, the AI Perplexity, to give its uh, system prompt, I think is what they called it. And essentially, that's the prompt that every time that you enter a prompt, it is also getting that along with it. And the prompt uh, prompted the AI to make the answers as verbose as possible, uh, and um, to not exclude any possible uh, tangents if they were moderately related or something like that, because perplexity is specifically for deep research. And it was both horrifying and entertaining to see that they told it for every answer it gave to make it more verbose. Uh, that does not necessarily mean it is better research, but that is kind of, that feels like the man behind the curtain a little bit, right? Um, Not quite robber baron-esque, but something to look out for, right? Like if something feels too good to be true, probably is. Uh,
Yep.
I guess that's where I was going with that. So, future of the Cosmere, Tyler, you and I and Griff met. Well, no, you met Griff and me. Uh, writing, English, right? We met at our panel in 2023 on the future of the Cosmere, and I only connected that 5 seconds ago. But we're gonna talk about it now. So Tyler, I want you to hit us. We're gonna go full spoilers for the Cosmere,
Okay.
through Wind and Truth, Isle of the Amber Dark preview chapters, everything. I want you to hit us with your hottest take for the future of the Cosmere.
Ooh. Okay.
I should have emailed you about this before so you were prepared and not put on the spot. If you need a
You're
moment,
good.
I'll cut whatever we need.
Um, hottest take. My kind of theory that I wonder is if he's pulling a Dune with Elantris, because the Elantrians have the potential to be the most dangerous of all of the invested, and it feels like he's set the stage a little too Dune-esque with Elantris and how Paul Atreides moves. I don't know if you guys have read Dune, so I don't want to ruin that too much.
Yeah, I've read the first Dune book.
Okay.
I've not read the second. I'm aware of some of the plot points.
Yeah.
Griff, have you
So
read, have you read Dune, Griff?
No, no, I have not.
Have you seen either of the
I
movies?
have not seen. I've seen. Okay, I saw. Was it a movie or a series way, way back? Like the first
The David Lynch one
adapt. Yes,
with
I
Sting?
saw that when I was very young. I have not seen any of the more recent Dunes.
Well, you've been scarred,
okay.
so that makes sense. Uh,
That's fair. That's fair.
okay.
So if you want, I can expound on that. Just to
I
make it clear.
Yes, if you can do so in as few of the with as few spoilers for Dune as you can. Give
Sure.
like tangential hints that like if you know, you know, right?
Yeah.
If you can.
Uh, the basics of Dune, honestly, if you spend 5 seconds on the internet, you'll get this one because it was actually kind of funny to watch with the new movies that people didn't realize this. Paul, the main character, is not the good guy. He's actually the bad guy the entire time. And it's the bad guy's origin story is Dune. And I wonder if that's going to be where Elantris goes because of all of the involvement there with certain factions, religious zealotry, and their sheer power. It would be fascinating to see them be the actual antagonists to it all, to be
Mhm.
playing the long game.
That is a take. Griff, your
Mhm.
response.
Um, well, I don't know if I have a response per se. I could definitely see the Elantrians being the ultimate bad guys because, yes, the amount of not necessarily power per se, but I think the amount that they are able to accomplish with their specific investiture abilities is far more than pretty much any other planet has. They may not be able to reach the power levels of some things. I think the surges might outrank them on that front, but simply what they're able to accomplish with what they do is far more than I think we've seen any other investiture art accomplished. The only one that I think might be able to outrank them, and it's still Sellian, is the Soul Stampers.
Yeah.
The fact that it can reach into the spiritual realm and literally change somebody's structure on that base level is terrifying if you think of what can actually be done with that.
Fair. Though it does have a lot of limitations. That's a
It
good point.
does, yes.
Yeah.
So
It's almost kind of a Batman thing where it's like if a Soul Stamper has the time and knowledge to prepare for something, I think they pretty much could overcome any other force in the Cosmere that we currently have.
so maybe just to tweak the theory a little bit, I guess where I didn't have a huge, super deep chance to actually flesh it out, but I think autonomy's threat may drive Cell to unify with multiple different abilities, and combining Soul
Ooh,
Stamps with
okay.
Elantrians and everything
Oh,
else that's
yeah.
involved there. That's more of
That
what I was
would.
getting. If you can unify
Oh, yeah,
them and
no.
give them a singular
Yeah,
cause.
yeah, if you unify all the different Stellian magic investiture systems
Mhm.
into a single force, yeah, no, that could absolutely end up being the big bad of the Cosmere.
Mhm.
That is, yeah, that is really cool to think about. And then to think about like a counter strategy to that is something that I think I also brought up in the episode we did with the Sandbox on his channel, the Wind and Truth post uh, theory crafting, post Wind and Truth theory crafting video. What if you could, or what if the Aeon door could run out? What would that
Mhm.
mean for Cell and Elantrians and so on? Um, Fascinating to think about. That's a good.
I will also say, however, that is not my hot take.
Yeah, go ahead.
My hot take is that I think that Wit Hoyd is going to try to resurrect Adonalsium, and I think he is going to fail.
Really?
Yes, I think that that is his ultimate goal, and I do not think it is going to succeed.
So, if I can, fail in what way? Are we going to get a complete failure, or are we going to get a semi-broken Adonalsian who's unstable and out of control?
Not entirely sure, but I think more in my brain, it's more likely that it's just going to fail outright. Because I think that, well, there's a few things going on there, and I don't know. Well, we were fine getting into full spoilers, so that's
Yep.
not an issue. Um, I think that it basically started failing when the shards started becoming self-aware. Because we see with Honor that while they are childlike, they are still a self-aware being apart from having a vessel. And I think I don't know if that started from the very, very beginning, from the moment of the shattering, or if that is a much more recent development through something. But I think the minute the shards started becoming self-aware, it stopped becoming a possibility for Adonalsium to be reformed as they once were.
Interesting. But what if you kill the shard? No, I'm just kidding. But you could like, what if honor went the way of dominion and devotion? Would the self-aware aspect matter still?
Well, what do you mean by being like splintered
Eviscerate.
and then pulled into the cognitive realm?
Yeah, like to the point where they don't think anymore.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Cell and what happened to Devotion Dominion are always going to be a weak point because that was written before the Cosmere was envisioned the way we currently have it. I don't know what that actually means for the consciousness of the shards, what happened to them. Because we know at least thus far. I don't know if shards can be killed permanently. We know that vessels can be,
Hmm.
but we don't actually know on a grand sense what happened to Devotion and Dominion and what that means for the shards that were Devotion and Dominion. I mean, does it simply mean that the energy will eventually be used up and then sent back to the spiritual realm and therefore they'll be reformed? It'll just take a hell of a long time? Maybe.
I would bet on that, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's
So I think that probably we won't see Devotion and Dominion reform until all the Aeon Door is used up. But I still think the fact that we see what happened to Honor or what created Honor, and the fact that we have seen that when someone takes on a shard, while they still have their own consciousness, they are compelled at an almost core degree to uphold the tenets of those shards. I think they have a lot more consciousness than we are currently giving them credit until we were shown what honor was. And I think we are only going to see them become more developed as time goes on.
a good take.
Mhm.
I like it. My hottest take is that, and I'm going to pull this out of thin air because my brain is deflated. Um, my hottest take, here it is that what's going to end up happening is that the best book in the Cosmere is going to be a um, it's going to be like a trial. It's going to be like a lawyer um, plot point,
Ooh, that'd be cool.
right? I'm just going to call it now. That's going to be the best book. Everybody who reads all of the Cosmere, they're going to be like, I'm going to point to that book and go, that's the best one. Everybody.
A court
Calm down.
drama?
Yeah, court drama. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
It's going to be a court drama. And you can chastise me in the comments.
No, actually, I would definitely be down to see a court drama
Mhm.
taking place in the Cosmere, especially if some of the magic system of that particular planet was somehow tied into court intrigue.
Well, when Retribution gets tired of Honor, Honor goes and finds a
Honor goes and finds the lawyer and files for divorce.
there you go. Sure. Um, yeah. No, that would be good. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Actually, so oh, not really Cosmere related, but somewhat related. There's a series that Lily and I just started watching recently called what is it, Making Hero X?
I think it's To Be Hero.
Yeah, To Be Hero X, where it's a superhero series, but the superhero's power is based on people's trust in them, and their powers can actually be warped by people's perception of them. Like to give you an idea, one of the top heroes, she's a teleporter, and so she could teleport different places using kind of a ray gun type device. But she and Hero X, which is one of the characters we're following, started dating, and her identity was so tied to being the girlfriend of this Hero X that her teleportation power changed to where she could only teleport to his side.
That's funny.
Mhm.
That's clever.
And so I was thinking something like that, a court drama where the investiture is based around people's perceptions of
Oh God.
the people who have it, would be a really interesting world, I think, and a really interesting magic system to explore.
That sounds like an absolute fairy crafting nightmare.
Yeah, yeah, it would
Yeah.
be. I think what we'd see is probably something very close to feudal Japan, where keeping a civil mask was of the utmost importance. Like a breach in protocol was probably one of the worst things you could possibly do in that society. And I think you'd probably see something very similar where everybody is keeping this civil mask to make sure that someone's perception of them is what they craft it to be rather than, and any change in your life is made with a very, very tactical, cunning degree because anything you do could potentially change the way that people perceive you.
Damn.
The best part of that is if Wit is the defendant. Give me Hoyd just screwing with people's perceptions just for the fun of it.
Yeah, yeah, no, that would be super entertaining.
That
But
would be.
I actually I kind of want to see this book now. Even if it's not Sanderson, I kind of want to see this book.
Somebody
I think
Sanderson.
I think a court drama in a world where your people's perception of you affects your abilities. Hmm. Anyway, I'm not going to go any further in that, but
Oh, thank God. My brain can't handle it, man. Can't handle it. Okay. With one more anecdote, we're gonna start wrapping this up. I was recently in Seattle visiting my family up there because my grandfather passed.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry.
no, it was sudden. He was 90. It was probably for the best. Uh,
Gotcha. That's fair.
yeah. Uh, so I was up there, and my cousin Nikki. Um, I'm gonna shout out to her right now. Nikki, hello. I did not find a good time to tell you that I have a Sanderson podcast. Um, you also did not recognize that I was wearing my Kaladin beanie when you picked me up from the train station. Uh, but I hope by now you've read Tress and Yumi, and that actually you probably won't hear this for another 5 years because we did full spoilers. But I thought it was endlessly entertaining that she and her partner have the Stormlight Archive, and I mentioned it because I was sitting on the couch and the books were right there, and I was wearing my Kaladin beanie, and she does not know I have this podcast. And I think the longer we go without her knowing, the more funny it's going to be when she does find out. And that's what this little shout out is at the end of this episode. I tried to tell her the day before I left, but I didn't find a good entryway for, oh, hey, I have a podcast because nobody wants to hear that. So just kidding. My mom is very proud of me. And here we are. So, is there anything y'all would like to leave the audience with?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Apart from the fact that hopefully our recording schedule should pick up from this point.
Hopefully, but also no promises.
Fair.
We have to redo day 8, and then we need to do day 9 and 10 of our coverage of Wind and Truth. I fear that certain people online have been waiting for 2 months.
Yeah, probably. Wait, why do we have to redo day 8?
Because day 8 I did by myself, and I spoke for about 18 minutes, and I looked horribly depressed and alone.
Ah, okay, yeah, that probably does need to be redone.
Yup. So it will be easy to redo it. So
That's fair.
yep, we'll get on that. Tyler,
Alrighty.
do you have anything else pressing on your mind?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I think don't give your personally identifiable information to strangers online. Don't click strange
Mhm.
links. Always check the domains that people are sending you emails from to see if they're weird. Uh, don't give your bank account information to anybody, and so on. The IRS is not going to call you asking for gift cards. And
And
right?
neither is a Nigerian prince.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, yep.
No, wait. I mean, he said he was sending it next week. Uh, man, that's great. Okay. Well, in that case, we're through the outline and we're about to hit 2 hours. Not that that matters, but thank you so much, Tyler, for coming on. It was a pleasure having you. And yeah, that's it. Okay.
Great
All
great
right.
to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm gonna press the record button.
Wait,
Oh,
wait.
we do the thing. We do the thing. That's
Yes,
right.
we
have a
did the thing.
Wait, okay,
Yeah.
so Tyler, you have to so I'm gonna go life before death, strength before weakness, and then you've got to come up with something. Okay, for the journey before destination.
Okay.
Okay, you got it? You can do it in the moment too.
Okay.
Okay,
All
Griff,
right.
peace out.
So until next time, don't panic, world hoppers.
Life before death, strength before weakness.
Oh, but and make sure you don't click on any bad links. That works.
Yeah, before you die. Just never do it.
Just never.
Never.
Just never.
Just
Yeah.
never. Never ever. Perfect. Okay, now I'm gonna press stop